Is there a divine spell that can help you with the triggers in your life?
We think there is.
It is, no joke, working for me.
And that means it can work for you too. Check it.
Triggers and trauma. Everyone has them. Ben and I, we are no exception.
I may have a more dwarven, stocky build about me.
And I may lean toward elven live.
But we are in fact run-of-the-mill, normal, everyday Earth humans.
I didn't even get a bonus feat. And as such, we, like everyone else, have triggers and trauma.
Everyone you've ever met, you, your parents, whoever that person is that you think is so put together, Steve, they all have trauma, and because of that, they have triggers.
Now it's a good time to do some definition of terms, because there's going to be a lot thrown around in here.
But it's cool, you're smart, you have a brain, you got this.
Trauma, according to trusted therapist Mary Morgan, is any external event that you didn't have control over, that you weren't expecting, that felt shitty.
And that's why we all have it, because it turns out force-feeding us surprise crap sandwiches is something the universe is really good at.
No one, and I repeat, no one gets to go through life with everything on easy mode. It doesn't happen.
So while it's true everyone experiences the unexpected, negative things in their life, it's also true that those experiences range widely.
There are people who have been through truly horrific, practically unimaginable things.
And our heart goes out to them. Please, if you're in that type of situation, get the help you need. There are people out there who can give it to you and can support you in your time of need.
Something else to point out, Ben and I, we do not have letters after our names.
I'm a theater nerd who builds sets for a living.
I write things.
We aren't counselors, psychiatrists, or therapists, analysts, analrapists.
We're just two dudes who are literally on YouTube trying to help fellow nerds live better.
And roll higher. So everyone has trauma, right? Because no one gets to control everything, and we all get treated to those surprise crap sandwiches. Tasty.
And because we all have trauma, that also means we all have triggers.
And a trigger, simply put, is anything that reminds you of or feels like a trauma that you've already experienced.
And like the traumas that they represent and call to mind, your triggers are yours, and they vary wildly from person to person.
Which is fine, because what we have for you today doesn't depend on your specific triggers or trauma.
No, this is totally something for anyone.
One size fits all. Okay, we've laid out the real-world definitions. Let's nerd out a little bit.
Damn straight. From here on out, we'd like you to start thinking about your traumas as your wounds.
And we'd like you to start thinking about those times when you're being triggered as being in combat. Roll initiative.
If you think about it, there are similarities between being triggered in real life and being in combat in Dungeons & Dragons.
Both are heightened states, and both involve a narrowing of focus, where certain things get magnified.
In Dungeons & Dragons, this means you go into rounds. The scope of what, how much, and when you can do things shrinks, and the order of who does what really starts to matter.
When you're not in combat, it doesn't matter how far you move, how many actions you take, or who's going first.
In life, when you're triggered, you typically have big feelings. Your mind and your pulse start to race, and you start to fixate.
When you're not triggered, your emotions are like tiny waves in a pool. Your mind and attention are more free to wander, and you probably feel more in control, right?
Another way of saying you feel more in control is maybe you feel more powerful.
And it's here, on this subject of power, where real life and Dungeons & Dragons diverge.
Combat in D&D is when players often feel they're most powerful. Time slows down. You get to do all your cool stuff and feel like a badass.
Being in combat in real life, or being triggered, feels like pretty much the exact opposite of everything Max just said.
Yeah, no, things speed up. You switch over onto autopilot. You become blind to most of your choices and feel like a victim.
And that's the beauty of this. By reframing being triggered to being in combat, you subtly make that shift in your mental state from being powerless to powerful.
This isn't some bullshit mental jujitsu either. When you are triggered, when you are in combat, you actually become more powerful, because that's the time you unlock your divine spell slots.
I mean, you knew you had those, right? That you were a cleric for your own self?
And with those divine spell slots that you have just gained access to, you have the ability to cast Cure Wounds.
In D&D, Cure Wounds is a touch spell with verbal and somatic components.
In the real world, Cure Wounds doesn't have somatic components. It does have some verbal ones, and its range is self.
You heard that right. Cure Wounds can only be cast on yourself.
There is not another soul on this planet who can cast Cure Wounds on you. You are your party's healer.
Now, this doesn't mean that other people can't provide you the help action.
Oh no, far from it. I mean, Ben and I are using our turn to take the help action now.
What we mean is that healing is an active process. It's something you have to do. It's a choice, or rather a series of choices that you have to make again and again, over and over.
Healing is a verb. It's a process. It's not a still point. It's not a place that you get to once and forever get to stay there.
It's making the choice to move away from who you are because of your wounds and toward the person you want to be and the life you want to live at full hit points.
And healing doesn't happen overnight.
Nor does healing mean all your symptoms, triggers, or traumas go away, never to be seen again.
God, no, it'd be awesome, but nothing can change what you've been through. You are and forever will be shaped by your experiences.
This is because you have a brain and it works. Kind of.
Your brain was built to keep you safe and alive.
All your brain wants to do is make sure you survive and pass on your genes.
I like both those things.
And one of the main ways it does that is by doing whatever it did in the past that worked.
If it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. Except in this case, because it is broke and you can fix it.
The thing is, the you were before isn't the you are now.
You have gained levels.
Boom.
You know more.
Yes.
You are capable of more.
Indeed.
And you probably have more resources.
I got nothing. Okay. But let's go back to Dungeons and Dragons for a second. Imagine you're a level 1 wizard and you're in your first dungeon. You open a door and you come face to face with a room full of skeletons.
You're level 1, you're a wizard, you are squishy, your spells pretty much suck. What's your best option here? Throw a firebolt, shut the door, and run away?
Burning hands, grease, I don't know. There's probably a few different things you could do.
Okay, yeah, no, fine, those would work too, but okay. Same scenario, now let's say you're a level 5 wizard, you're in a dungeon, you open a door, room full of skeletons. What do you do?
Okay, do I have my spell slots?
Yes.
How big is the room?
Just stop.
But I mean, because it might matter.
Okay,
I just want to know
you cast Fireball because you have 3rd level spells now. You don't have to do the Firebolt bolt.
Except your brain's kind of messed up and it sucks at tracking what level you are at any given moment. When you're faced with a situation that today reminds you of something from your past, your brain's response is to do the thing that you did before.
But that is like opening a door to a room full of skeletons and using Firebolt when you've got a perfectly good Fireball that would work so much better.
Whatever wounds you have, whatever trauma, you have gained levels since you faced that problem the first time.
Unfortunately, when you're triggered, when you're in combat, your brain 100% forgets what level you are now and takes whatever actions worked before.
This is letting your wounds define you.
However, you have a different, better choice you can make. You have a different, better action you can take.
You can cast Cure Wounds.
You can respond to your triggers in ways that are aligned with who you are now and the life you want to live.
Here's how.
Remember when we said in the beginning that combat is actually a powerful place to be because you have access to your divine spell slots? That's because it's when you're triggered, it's when you're in combat, you have the opportunity to heal.
You can only respond to old patterns in new ways when you're in the midst of those old patterns.
You can only cast Cure Wounds when you're in combat.
If and when I am triggered and in combat, then I will notice it immediately. Pause, remember that I am not level 1 anymore, and I will make the choice to respond to the situation based on who I want to be and the life I want to live.
That is how you cast Cure Wounds.
Like we said, all it has is a verbal component. You don't have to wave your arms, hop on one foot, or find any diamond dust.
To make it even easier, you can download your very own Divine Magic Spell Focus for free.
A good friend of ours and of the channel will design some spell cards for you. We'll put the link for them in the down there part.
They are business card sized, which makes them easy to carry around, and there's multiple spell cards on each page of the PDF.
On the front, they all have your standard spell card information, range, duration, all that good stuff.
And one of them we've taken the liberty to fill out with the verbal components that Ben just gave you. The rest are blank.
This is so that you can create your own verbal components to this spell, ones that really resonate with you and are tailored to your specific wounds.
Look, I mean, by all means, if the ones that we just gave you are doing it for you and work, go for it.
And if they don't, you can use the blank spell cards to make them as targeted as you want or need your cure wounds to be.
Oh, and be sure to check out the back, because on the back of every card is some really dope art. Fine work, Will.
And as a show of good faith and courage, Max and I are going to drop some examples of our cure wounds spells in the comments below.
Check them out for inspiration. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this is actually working for me.
And if you're brave enough, please, by all means, share yours. Someone else watching this might be dealing with something similar, and it could help them out.
Remember, you are your party's cleric.
Casting cure wounds is up to you.
If this kind of thing is your jam, check out the other video we made about self-talk through the lens of vicious mockery and healing words.
And don't forget to do all the YouTube things, the subscribe buttons of that nature, and let your friends know about this video too by sharing it.
Oh, and speaking of jams, I totally put a link to a song that was kind of speaking to me while I was putting this script together down there as well.
For real?
Oh yeah, no, totally, man.
Huh?
Think of it as a point of bardic inspiration that I'm giving you on your journey inward and onward.
I like that.
Although fair warning, it is not metal. I know that is a D&D stereotype, but it's one I like to break.
Thanks for checking out this video. We are PeakD&D, and we will see you next time with more D&D ideas here at the Peak.
Spell cards on one page.
On the front,
Maybe we just got to do like fast speed reads.
You'll
jump
be
all over
expecting my improv.
Well,
You can't expect the unexpected. No one suspects the Spanish Inquisition.
the main elements are fear, surprise, and a fanatical devotion to the Pope.
And pass on your genetic material.
I like both those things.
Genetic material. Sorry, I'm gonna go back. We're gonna leave. There's gonna be no fucking stairs.
We're just gonna rappel down the side of the building, and we out.